Hello and welcome to another episode from the water's edge. You catch up with us into the first fish of the session, and in today's session hopefully what we're going to be showing you is how to target a few of those bigger fish, let's say they're match winning fish that you're looking forward to catch in the last couple of hours. Now I'm probably only going to be fishing a couple of hours myself, so it's going to be a real good indication of what sort of things you're expecting to do. But basically what I'm doing is I'm fishing meat. And like I said, I've just adjusted it very slightly to try and get and target those bigger fish. That's what we're fishing for. Short period of time, high action, and hopefully putting like quite a nice weight of fish into your net like you would be doing in the last sort of hour or two of the match. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get this fish in now. He's not particularly the biggest fish in the world. I know I just said we're targeting big fish. He's probably £4, but hopefully we'll be getting some bigger than that in the next few chucks. But certainly this way, what I've been doing and these little tweak I've done to my hook bait has, for me personally, been catching and picking out those bigger fish. So that's what we're sharing with you today. He's just hit the net, so we'll have a little look at him and then we'll talk to you a bit more about the rigs and the baits and whatnot. So let's just quickly whip this hook out. Nicely hooked in the top lip, still full of life, but there we are. Like I said, hopefully we're getting a bit bigger than that, but that's a cracking start, and he's the first one. We've only been fishing 5 or 10 minutes and we've started strong. So let's pop him in the net and we'll talk to you a bit about the rigs. There we are, he's back in the net. A successful start, but we're certainly looking for 1, 2 or even 3 times bigger than that, hopefully within the next few chucks. So there's a good time now, we've got the first fish in, just to have a quick look at the rig we're using. So let's click the hook on there and we'll start from the top. So first of all, like I said, targeting big fish, you need to be geared up for it. So at the moment, or today, we're fishing tight over to an island, and we have put some bait in down the edge as well. So it's shallow water fishing. Big fish in shallow water is a lot of time the problem of losing fish, because they dart away, you have to be ready for it. So we've got double 10 for the elastic. I like double 10, it really does do well for me. If I was going to recommend anything else, I would probably say red hydro, but red hydro is quite expensive. You start putting it through a few kits. So for me, double 10 does what I need it to do. The rig line is 019, which is Guru N-gauge. I've switched all my line over to that. It's really high abrasion resistance, and if it just doesn't snap, you can trace it through some leads and some reeds. As long as you don't get in a real mess, you should be getting most fish out with that. Float choice is a Dura 10 4x14, nice and heavy, takes quite a nice little bulk with a couple of droppers of number 8, which I've just got down here. Slid up the line a little bit with that fish, but that's just fish with bulk and 2 droppers and sort of, I don't know, 6-8 inch hook link, probably 6-inch hook link onto a Guru MWG size 14 hook onto a bait band. So that's the rig, nothing particularly complicated, but it's really beefed up for it. One thing that might be worth mentioning, the distance between my float and my elastic there, as you can see, is probably longer than you'd expect to use. Normally I'd like to get it nice and tight, hit every bite, but because we're fishing it in shallow water, I want to get that pole tip quite high. I don't want to be spooking them, so I'd rather miss an extra bite or two because I've got a distance before I connect with it, than I would just put my pole right over the heads and not get that bite at all. So there's a bit of a compromise, and work out yourself what's working. If they're really having it, shorten it down and then hit the bite straight away. But just to start with, I'm going to have that long distance between the float and the pole to see what happens on there. So that's the rig. Then we come on to the baits. Baits I'm feeding, really simple, nice and cheap, and great for big fish fishing. So start with just pellet. It's just what I had in the bags. Actually, these are green swim stim. I think I fished a match where you had to use those, so that's the only reason I've gone for those, but any pellet works whatsoever. A couple of tins of cat meat in there. One's in jelly, one's in gravy. Again, just what I had in my bag, but any sort of cat meat works. Meat is a real big fish bait in my opinion. It catches a lot of fish, quick, instant attraction, and that's what you're looking for, especially in short sessions or, like I said, those last couple of hours. But this is what I've been playing with. I've already prepared these earlier, and as you can see, these are bright bits of meat. Now all I've done is at home, I've just cut them into probably centimetre, even slightly bigger, some of them, some big cubes. And then on top of that, what I've added is I've added some king crab goo and quarter, really high attraction in smell and in colour. And on top of that, what I've added is some krill shaker. So basically I've come up with, in my opinion, messing around with a few things. I use a lot of these short sessions to mess around. There's 3 things that make a difference when you're trying to catch quicker than anything else, and especially big fish. So one of those is size. I like big baits, so you've got big bits of meat, double corn, 2 dendrobinas, something like that. Big, stand out in your face, first thing they get to. So big size baits is the first thing. The next thing is visual. I like colours, messing around. Like I said, today we've got big pink bits of meat, but colours for me is a real plus. I mean, if I was to put that out there without any of this on, yes, I'm going to get that bite, but if I get that bite a minute, 2 minutes earlier, then that's all the better for me. And then the second thing is smell. I want something that stinks. It doesn't have to smell horrible. I actually like this crab stuff. I actually really like the smell of, and the krill shaker. So to me, it actually smells good. So the fish, it must smell good too. So they're the 3 things. Now with the big coloured meat, I think I get all 3. So I've got the size in the big cubes, the colour in the high vis pink from the goo, and then the krill shaker and the meat in general, and even the flavouring. It all smells really nice as well. So either pick one of those things, or if you can, use all 3 together. Like I said, 2 dendrobinas fishing over ground bait works really well, because you've got that massive size bait in amongst ground bait, which is not really anything to eat. So it's just something to think about when you're fishing shallow water, trying to put a big weight together fast and target those bigger fish, is try and make your hook bait be the first thing they pick up. And if you can get that sorted, you're in for a real day's fishing. So let's stop talking about that now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go straight back over that spot. We've already potted in 3 probably half sort of size pots. I'm fishing 60 metres, cat meat's quite heavy. I'd like to put in 2 big pots, but just to the weight, if you're cupping in, I've had to put 3 half size pots in. So quite a big chunk of bait to start with, and we've just had that fish. So I'm going to go out there now quickly without topping it up, and then what I'll do is we'll probably top it up next fish and keep that bait going in. Big chunk of meat goes onto a bait needle, stretch that bait needle, meat goes over, then just let that go. So what happens when you let it go, the bait band expands back into the meat and it sits there and hangs with your hook just hanging proud. So that's the first thing. Let's see, just caught my finger straight away. So the first thing that makes contact with the lip is your hook rather than striking through the meat. So that's another nice little way of hooking it. So what we do is we're going to go straight back onto that spot, and hopefully this time he's going to be slightly bigger. So let's get back out there. Right, so I'm just going to lower in the meat now. Just keep everything nice and steady. Like I said, fishing at this distance, you want to keep it all nice and smooth. And just lower it in so that float settles. And then it's just a case of keeping an eye on it, because I'm expecting to see some sort of indication of a bite. Within sort of a minute or so, I'd hope to see something happen. And there we go. Well, there we are. Hopefully you got a good perception on how quick that was, and that's what I was saying about you need to try and make your hook bait the most appealing thing in the peg. There's probably loads of cat meat and loads of pellet still sitting there, but that bite was pretty instant. I mean, it was a few seconds, I would say. Now, I mean, obviously, please don't get me wrong, we're fishing a really good time. We're fishing in the evening, and there's not, well, there's a couple of people fishing around the other side of the lake, but there's not a tremendous amount of pressure on it. But believe me, it has been working as well in really, really competitive conditions, and it's just, like I said, making the most out of getting this bite as quick as you can, as early as you can possibly get that bite is what you want to be doing. And we're into another okay size fish. Again, still not the monster that you're hunting, but if you're putting quick bites in, you're putting good weight together. And don't get me wrong, I've mentioned many times already that you are hunting these bigger fish, but at the end of the day, especially carp, they're greedy. And a 3 or 4 pound carp, even these size meat tubes I'm using are probably over a centimetre, they'll still grab one. And especially with that goo on and that flavouring on, it just seems to be so attractive that no matter what it is, we'll have a go at it. Believe it or not, I don't think they've ever got it in the mouth, but I've had skimmers and bream have a go at it. But in general, you pick out a nice size of fish. You're never going to get a roach and bits and pieces like that. So you just eliminate that wasted time. If you are fishing for big fish, you eliminate that sort of nuisance fish issue. But again, a lively little mirror has come, and probably less than a couple of minutes after we just put that first one in the net. So cracking start, and we'll get him back with the others and see if we can have another one. Just hooked another fish, and this is one of them situations where you really have to trust your gear. It's bolted off around there, and at the moment I just can't do anything with it, so I'm pretty confident in the pole, nice and strong, the rig's strong. The QM1 hooks just don't really seem to go out. I don't want to tempt fate, but it's almost just a case now of I'm going to have to hold him here until he decides to come back round. I don't want to pull his head off. Slightly hairy moment when he bolted off around there, but that's what I was saying about this shallow water. You need to be geared up for it, because they don't have to be huge fish that get the better of you either. It's those sort of turbocharged ones that shoot off in shallow water, round a corner, try and find a little tree or root or some lilies to get you in. They know all the tricks, so it's just a case of being ready for it, geared up for it, and hopefully you'll start landing them. Like I said, this one tore right off into that gap, and it's just, I've just held him, kept confidence in the gear, and he's come back. So we're now on to top gear. Hopefully we'll see how big he is shortly. There we are. Well, that's more like it. That's what I was saying about the match winning fish, the sort of big fish you're hoping to catch on this method. Just going to get my top kit out of the way, and we'll see if we can hold them up for you. These are the stamp of fish that I'd more be wanting to catch on this particular method. This dorsal just hooked in this net, so just quickly whip that off. There we are. And if he behaves himself, that's much better. That's more what we're looking for. Big, thick, across the shoulder commercial carp. And nice common. That's probably why you fought that a little bit harder, but that's what I was saying. Take your time and get geared up. I'm not saying go and use 15, 20 pound line in the pole, because you're asking for disaster, but don't also go the other way. Just be confident and sort of step up to it, but certainly don't go and start smashing thousands of pounds worth of gear up. Just be a bit sensible, and you can get fishing quick and big fish. I mean, that's a proper weight builder. A last couple of hours, get in that shallow water, and they can be your rewards. So let's get him slipped back. I'm sure there's more out there for me. Just pop him in a net, and we'll get some more bait perhaps fed in the swim. There, he's gone back in the net. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cup him back in the swim. If I just grab my potting kit, because basically I've had a couple of fish off that spot now, and that last fish, although it was a bigger fish, it took not long, but it took 3 or 4 minutes probably for that bite. And I think what it is, the first fish are caught really quick, there's a load of food there, and then they do disappear. And this isn't the sort of method you want to be shy on. I mean, if I thought these fish were in any way, shape or form finicky, I certainly wouldn't be using almost glow-in-the-dark 2mm cubes of luncheon meat. So you have to sort of fish to how you expect to catch fish, and I'm fishing for quick bites here, and like I said, bait wise you have to bait accordingly to that. So I'm probably now going to feed every fish, and as I've probably just, hopefully you can see, is I've dropped that in from a big height, that bait, and making a real big splash with it. So when that hits the water, it's making a real big noise. I'm almost sort of ringing that dinner bell, ready for another fish to be coming into the area, and then hopefully find them a hook bait. So while we've just cupped that in, I'm hoping it's going to be relatively instant, as a speed up in the bite process, so hopefully by the time I'm out there, there's fish heard that and they're starting to come back into the area. So another big bit of meat goes on, and like I said, getting it on this band is one of the best changes I've done for all my fishing. Just pull it straight and let it go and it expands, and that hook really does sit nicely. It's not only with meat I've started banding, I mean pretty much now if I can band it I will. I band the corn, the pellets, so you can even band worms and casters if you sort of play about with it. Perhaps that's another video for another day, but there's certainly better ways of hooking fish, and I've hooked a lot more, converted into fish into the net by putting baits onto a bait band, because that hook is free, straight into the mouth. It's the first thing it makes contact with. You haven't got to strike for any of the bait. So that is one of my big tips when fishing anything nowadays, especially with big baits, is try and get your hook free, either hair rigged or bait band in some description, so you're straight in contact with the fish. So out we go again, and hopefully we won't be too long before we connect with another one. There's another fish just coming in now. We've had a real good sort of hour and a half, 2 hours at it with filming time. We've probably fished for an hour and a half, I would say, and we've kept a little run of fish coming together. We're probably going to call this one the last one. Like I said, we're only fishing a few hours after work, but real high impact fishing, trying to show you things to do when you haven't got much time, or when you need to catch really quick. And certainly today the fish have been quite nice. They've played ball for once. It doesn't always go that well when you bring the camera out, but there's been some bigger fish we've had, a couple of smaller fish at the start, but that is expected. They're not all going to be massive, but certainly for match style fish, should we say, like pole fish, they have been relatively big fish that we've caught. And that's what it's all about, sort of making that hook bait the most appealing thing in your peg, and you should be catching pretty well if the fish are there. Like I said, the fish have got to be there. There is no miracle in fishing. You can't, how good your rig is, how good your bait is, you can't make fish eat it that aren't there. So keep persevering with it, and hopefully it'll do well for you. So hopefully if I get this fish in, we'll show you this one, and we'll pop them in the net, and then that'll be the end of today's session. The light slowly starting to fade. Fortunately I work quite long hours. I don't finish till about 6. The time we get fishing, it's probably 7 o'clock by the time we really start actually putting any baits in the water. I'd like to think they'd let me have half a day, but I'm not so lucky with that. Now coming towards the end. There we are. What an absolute stunner of a fish. We've definitely saved the best to last. Let me see if I can get that. It's a common, but with a real nice orange tone to him. He's definitely got some koi in him. And I don't know you, but there's not many more commercial fish that are better looking than that. I hope the camera picks it up, because he has got a real orange glow to him. Any sort of cross with a koi, they always have them better colours, real nice fish, and again a cracking size. Like I said, we've had 2 earlier that weren't so big, and then from there it's probably been between sort of 8 and 12 pound probably every fish bar that. So cracking sport, big weight builders. Like I said, the match winning fish really is a cracking way to build a weight up, but I won't keep him out too long. He's kicking a bit, so I'll pop him in the net and then we'll have a look at what we've got. Well, let's get these fish back. So it's been a cracking session, and as I did mention earlier, it's not just meat that it works with. Also works with corn, 2 worms. Now, like I said, it's the 3 important things: colour, smell and size. In shallow water, big fish, they're the things you're after. But let's get these fish back safely for another day. There we are. Nice fish in there. Last one goes away, and as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again on the next one. A lot of fish, quick, instant attraction, and that's what you're looking for, especially in short sessions or, like I said, those last couple of hours. But this is what I've been playing with. I've already prepared these earlier, and as you can see, these are bright bits of meat. Now all I've done is at home, I've just cut them into probably centimetre, even slightly bigger, some of them, some big cubes. And then on top of that, what I've added is I've added some king crab goo from Corda. Really high attraction in smell and in colour. And on top of that, what I've added is some krill shaker. So basically I've come up with, in my opinion, messing around with a few things. I use a lot of these short sessions to mess around. There's 3 things that make a difference when you're trying to catch quicker than anything else, and especially big fish. So one of those is size. I like big baits, so you've got big bits of meat, double corn, 2 dendrobinas, something like that. Big, stand out in your face, first thing they get to. So big size baits is the first thing. The next thing is visual. I like colours, messing around. Like I said, today we've got big pink bits of meat, but colours for me is a real plus. I mean, if I was to put that out there without any of this on, yes, I'm going to get that bite, but if I get that bite a minute, 2 minutes earlier, then that's all the better for me. And then the second thing is smell. I want something that stinks. It doesn't have to smell horrible. I actually like this crab stuff. I actually really like the smell of, and the krill shaker. So to me, it actually smells good. So the fish, it must smell good too. So they're the top lip, still full of life. But there we are. Like I said, hopefully we're getting a bit bigger than that, but that's a cracking start. And he's the first one. We've only been fishing 5 or 10 minutes, and we've started strong. So let's pop him in the net, and we'll talk to you a bit about the rigs. There we are, he's back in the net. A successful start, but we're certainly looking for 1, 2 or even 3 times bigger than that, hopefully, within the next few chucks. So there's a good time now, we've got the first fish in, just to have a quick look at the rig we're using. So let's click the hook on there and we'll start from the top. So first of all, like I said, targeting big fish, you need to be geared up for it. So at the moment, or today, we're fishing tight over to an island, and we have put some bait in down the edge as well. So it's shallow water fishing. Big fish in shallow water is a lot of time the problem of losing fish, because they dart away, you have to be ready for it. So we've got double 10 for the elastic. I like double 10, it really does do well for me. If I was going to recommend anything else, I would probably say red hydro, but red hydro is quite expensive. You start putting it through a few kits. So for me, double 10 does what I need it to do. The rig line is 019, which is Guru N-gauge. I've switched all my line over to that. It's really high abrasion resistance, and if it just doesn't snap, you can trace it through some leads and some reeds. As long as you don't get in a real mess, you should be getting most fish out with that. Float choice is a Dura 10 4x4. Hello and welcome to another episode from the Water's Edge. You catch up with us into the first fish of the session, and in today's session, hopefully what we're going to be showing you is how to target a few of those bigger fish, let's say they're match-winning fish that you're looking forward to catch in the last couple of hours. Now I'm probably only going to be fishing a couple of hours myself, so it's going to be a real good indication of what sort of things you're expecting to do. But basically what I'm doing is I'm fishing meat, and like I said, I've just adjusted it very slightly to try and get and target those bigger fish. That's what we're fishing for. Short period of time, high action, and hopefully putting like quite a nice weight of fish into your net, like you would be doing in the last sort of hour or two of the match. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get this fish in now. He's not particularly the biggest fish in the world. I know I just said we're targeting big fish. He's probably 4 pound, but hopefully we'll be getting some bigger than that in the next few chucks. But certainly this way, what I've been doing, and these little tweak I've done to my hook bait, has for me personally been catching and picking out those bigger fish. So that's what we're sharing with you today. He's just hit the net, so we'll have a little look at him and then we'll talk to you a bit more about the rigs and the baits and whatnot. So let's just quickly whip this hook out. Nicely hooked. 3 things. Now with the big coloured meat, I think I get all 3. So I've got the size in the big cubes, the colour in the high vis pink from the goo, and then the krill shaker and the meat in general, and even the flavour, and it all smells really nice as well. So either pick one of those things, or if you can, use all 3 together. Like I said, 2 dendrobinas fishing over ground bait works really well because you've got that massive size bait in amongst ground bait, which is not really anything to eat. So it's just something to think about when you're fishing shallow water, trying to put a big weight together fast and target those bigger fish, is try and make your hook bait be the first thing they pick up. And if you can get that sorted, you're in for a real day's fishing. So let's stop talking about that now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go straight back over that spot. We've already potted in 3 probably half sort of size pots. I'm fishing 60 metres, cat meat's quite heavy. I'd like to put in 2 big pots, but just to the weight, if you're cupping in, I've had to put 3 half size pots in. So quite a big chunk of bait to start with, and we've just had that fish. So I'm going to go out there now quickly without topping it up, and then what I'll do is we'll probably top it up next fish and keep that bait going in. Big chunk of meat goes onto a bait needle, stretch that bait needle, meat goes over, then just let that go. So what happens when you let it go, the bait band expands back into the meat and it sits there and hangs with your hook just hanging proud. So that's the first thing. Let's see, just caught my finger straight away. It's the first thing that makes contact. 14, nice and heavy, takes quite a nice little bulk with a couple of droppers of number 8, which I've just got down here. Slid up the line a little bit with that fish, but that's just fish with a bulk and 2 droppers and sort of, I don't know, 8 inch hook link, probably 6 inch hook link onto a Guru MWG size 14 hook onto a bait band. So that's the rig, nothing particularly complicated, but it's really beefed up for it. One thing that might be worth mentioning, the distance between my float and my elastic there, as you can see, is probably longer than you'd expect to use. Normally I'd like to get it nice and tight, hit every bite, but because we're fishing it in shallow water, I want to get that pole tip quite high. I don't want to be spooking them, so I'd rather miss an extra bite or 2 because I've got a distance before I connect with it, than I would just put my pole right over the heads and not get that bite at all. So it's a bit of a compromise, and work out yourself what's working. If they're really having it, shorten it down and then hit the bite straight away. But just to start with, I'm going to have that long distance between the float and the pole to see what happens on there. So that's the rig. Then we come on to the baits. Baits I'm feeding, really simple, nice and cheap, and great for big fish fishing. So start with just pellet. It's just what I had in the bags. Actually, these are green swim stim. I think I fished a match where you had to use those, so that's the only reason I've gone for those, but any pellet works whatsoever. A couple of tins of cat meat in there. One's in jelly, one's in gravy. Again, just what I had in my bag, but any sort of cat meat works. Meat is a real big fish bait in my opinion. It catches